Welcome. Look, every team out there has this huge list of potential threats, right? But you never have enough time to fix everything. So the big question is, how do you decide what to tackle first? In the next few minutes, we're going to build a super simple framework to help you cut through all that noise and zero in on the risks that really matter. Okay, so you've done the heavy lifting. You've got your list of vulnerabilities, potential problems, all those things that keep you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. And that list, it's long, and every single thing on it probably feels super important. It can be totally overwhelming, can it? Like, where do you even start? Well, that feeling, that analysis paralysis, is exactly what we're going to tackle today. So, what's the secret weapon here? How do we bring order to all this chaos? It all comes down to one powerful idea: risk. Once you really get what risk is, you can transform that messy, confusing list of problems into a crystal clear, prioritized action plan. It's all about turning that confusion into total clarity. And here's the absolute number one thing you have to understand: not all risks are created equal. It's just not true. Think about it. A typo on your website? Yeah, that's a risk. A massive data breach that leaks all your customer data? Also a risk. But are they the same? No way. The goal isn't to fix everything. It's about finding and fixing the right things first. So, what are we actually talking about when we say risk? It's not just about the scary thing itself. True risk is really a combination of two simple things. You've got to ask yourself, 1, how likely is this to actually happen? And 2, if it does happen, how bad would it be? You absolutely need both pieces of that puzzle to see the full picture. All right, let's really break this down. On one side, you've got likelihood. Is this something that could pop up every day, or is it more like a once-in-a-decade kind of thing? Then, on the other side, you have impact. If this thing goes down, is it just a minor headache, or is it a game-over, company-ending catastrophe? To really get a handle on risk, you've got to be looking at both, always. Okay, that's the theory, and it sounds good, right? But how do we actually use this? This is where the rubber meets the road. We're going to take those vague, fuzzy threats and turn them into something concrete, something we can actually measure, compare, and then prioritize. This is where we start making real plans. I bet we've all seen a report that says something like this. It's so vague, it's almost useless, right? And honestly, it's kind of lazy. A vulnerability in the system. Which vulnerability? What system? What does it even do? All a statement like this does is make people anxious. It doesn't actually help anyone take action. Now this is what we're aiming for. See how clear and specific this is? A good risk statement tells a little story. To get here, you just ask a few simple questions. Who's the bad guy? That's the actor. What are they trying to do? That's the action. And what's at stake? That's the asset or the impact. In this case, we know an attacker could access user data through a specific bad login. See? Now that's something we can actually sink our teeth into, and that right there is the key takeaway. A threat is just noise until you describe it clearly. A well-defined risk is the first, and I mean the most important, step toward actually solving the problem. In security, in project management, in anything, clarity is your single greatest weapon. If you can't describe it clearly, you have no chance of fixing it effectively. So how do we put all this together visually? With something like this, a simple risk matrix. It's super useful. All you do is plot the likelihood on one axis and the impact on the other. Something that's got a high likelihood and a high impact, that's up here in the top right, that's critical. Something with low likelihood and low impact, down in the bottom left, that's a low priority. Now look, figuring out what's low, medium, or high for your team, that's a conversation you've got to have. But this tool gives you the perfect framework to have that talk and sort your whole messy list into a simple, fix this now, and this can wait. Alright, so now our risks have scores. We're ready for the final and maybe the most important part, the art of prioritization. This is all about being smart. It's about deciding where you're going to focus your limited time, your limited money, and your limited energy. The strategy here is actually pretty simple. You go after the critical stuff first, the high impact, high likelihood threats. That's your number one priority. What this whole framework does is help you make a conscious decision about which fires need to be put out right now and which ones can, safely smolder for a bit. The whole point is to get the maximum amount of protection by using your resources in the smartest way possible. Let me give you a classic example, a real dilemma that teams face. Let's say you've got two risks. Risk A, The office Wi-Fi slows down a few times a day. It happens all the time, so high likelihood, but the impact is pretty low. It's just annoying. Then you have risk B, a really sophisticated cyber attack that could expose every single piece of your customer data. The chance of it happening is super low, but if it did, catastrophic. So which one should you prioritize? What do? Do you fix the constant, annoying problem that everybody is complaining about, or do you put your resources toward preventing the absolute disaster that might never even happen? This is the exact kind of tough call that teams have to make every single day, and the truth is, there isn't one single right answer. It really depends on your team's goals and what you're willing to live with. The real power of using a framework like this isn't that it spits out a magic answer. It's that it forces you to have the right conversation. It helps you get past our natural human biases. Like how we always want to fix the noisy, annoying problem, like the slow Wi-Fi, instead of that big, scary, abstract threat way off in the distance. This whole process just makes sure you make an informed decision, not just a gut reaction. And that's the whole point, right? Making that informed decision. So if you remember anything, remember this simple 3-step plan. This is how you get there every time. Identify your threats. What could go wrong? Define them as actual risks. What's the impact and likelihood? Score and prioritize so you can focus your efforts where they'll do the most good. And here's something you can take with you right now. A super quick checklist for any potential issue you run into. Just ask these 4 questions. What could go wrong? How likely is it? How bad would it be? And once you do that, what's the score? It's like a mini risk assessment you can do on a napkin in about 2 minutes. So, let's wrap up with a question I want you to take back to your team. We all know our resources are limited. Your time, your budget, they're not infinite. So after this, I want you to take a really honest look at what you're working on. Are you just busy fixing all the little annoying problems while kind of ignoring the sleeping giants? Or are you truly, genuinely focused on what matters most?